It's 2 in the morning, and you are having the same fight again. Not a new fight, the same one. The one with the worn grooves in it. The one where you both already know the next line, and you say it anyway, because what else are you gonna do at 2 in the morning? And somewhere in there, one of you says the thing. Maybe out loud, maybe just internally, which is worse. You're not the person I married. Sit with that for a second. Because that sentence contains an entire theory of what marriage is supposed to be, and that theory is about 200 years old. It is younger than the piano. It is younger than the United States. For everyone who came before that, it would have been an almost incomprehensible thing to say. Let's start with what you think you know. Marriage is ancient. It's natural, practically biological. One man, one woman for life, because they love each other. We evolved for this, and everything else is modern decay. Almost none of that is true, and the part about love is false in the exact opposite direction from the one you're expecting. Because here's the first thing, and I want to get it out of the way, because it's the thing people always assume. Ancient humans were not emotionally dead. There's this fantasy, and it's a condescending one, that romantic love is a European invention, that it shows up with troubadours and poetry and Valentine's cards, and that before that, people just sort of grunted and reproduced. In 1992, two anthropologists, Yankowiak and Fisher, went looking. They sampled societies from all over the world and asked a simple question: is there evidence of romantic love here? Longing, obsession, songs about a specific person, running off with someone you weren't supposed to. They found it in something like 89% of the societies they could get data on, and in most of the remaining 11%, the honest answer was that nobody had bothered to ask. Romantic love is not a Western invention. It's not a modern invention. It looks about as universal as music. So they felt it. Obviously, they felt it. People have always fallen stupidly, ruinously in love. But here's where it gets strange. They just didn't think that had very much to do with marriage. Because marriage, for almost the entire history of our species, was not a contract between two people. It was a contract between two groups. And to understand why, you have to look at what we're actually competing with. Take a chimpanzee troop. What happens when it meets a neighboring troop? Nothing good. Chimps do not negotiate with the neighbors. They don't trade with them. They don't visit them. They don't marry into them. Male chimps patrol their borders, and when they catch an isolated male from the next valley, they will sometimes kill him, deliberately, as a group. Chimpanzee politics has exactly two categories: us and the enemy. Now look at a human foraging band, and look at where the wives came from, or the husbands, because in the overwhelming majority of human societies ever recorded, you do not marry inside your own group, you marry out, which means that after that wedding, something exists that has no equivalent anywhere else in the animal kingdom. You now have in-laws. You have a brother-in-law in the next valley. Your sister lives over there now. Your children have grandparents in a band that technically you are supposed to be competing with for water. And you cannot easily massacre a group of people that your sister is currently living in. The anthropologist Edward Tyler put this in a single line back in 1889, and I've never found a better one. He said, early societies faced a simple choice: marry out or be killed out. That's the idea I want to hand you, because once you've got it, weddings look completely different for the rest of your life. Marriage was not a machine for making two people happy. Marriage was a machine for turning strangers into relatives. And that turns out to be one of the most important things our species ever figured out how to do. Think about what you buy you. Every marriage builds a bridge. Now there's a road between two bands. Information travels down it, where the game is, where the water is. Obligations travel down it. When your territory has a bad year, you don't just starve because there is a group over the hill that owes you because of a wedding nobody alive even remembers. Claude Lévi-Strauss built an entire theory on this in 1949. His argument, and I'll tell you in a minute why people fight about it, is that the incest taboo isn't really about genetics at all. It's about force. It's a rule that pushes you out of your own family and makes you go find allies somewhere else. Marriage, in his reading, is fundamentally an exchange. It's the original diplomacy. So when you're standing at a wedding watching two families who barely know each other awkwardly making conversation by a dessert table, you are watching a fossil. That awkward small talk is the whole point. That is the institution doing its job. Marriage is the technology that let humans build societies bigger than a family, before writing, before cities, before agriculture, which is a beautiful idea. And now I have to slow down and start poking holes in it, because I've been building a case and you should be suspicious of anyone who makes it sound this clean. First, as always, living foraging societies are not time machines. The Hadza, the Kung, the Aka, they're modern people in the modern world on marginal land. Reading them backwards onto the Stone Age is a real leap, and honest anthropologists argue about it constantly. Second, Levi-Strauss's version has a nasty edge. He described marriage as the exchange of women between groups of men. An enormous amount of ethnography says that's not what's happening. Among the Kung, girls routinely resisted arranged marriages and routinely won. Among the Hadza, marriages form and dissolve with a casualness that would horrify most of the people watching this. Divorce is common, undramatic, and survivable. Women left, women chose. The tidy exchange model flattens all of that. Third, and I'm not going to soften this, arranged marriage was frequently not gentle. In many societies, girls were promised as children. Some of them were married before they wanted to be, to men they did not choose. That is in the record, and no amount of the ancients had it figured out makes it okay. And fourth, the monogamy thing. If you look at the big ethnographic surveys, most human societies have permitted men more than one wife. Strict monogamy is a minority position. But, and this is the part people skip, even in societies that allow it, most men had exactly one wife because most men couldn't afford another. So the honest answer to were we monogamous is sort of, mostly, unenthusiastically, and it depended on how rich you were. So it isn't a paradise. It isn't a free love fantasy. It was an institution doing a job. And it's the job that's the whole story. Because look at what we actually did. We didn't invent marriage for love. We did something much stranger. We took an institution that was built to create allies, to bind families, spread obligation, guarantee help, and handed it a job it had never had in 300,000 years: make one person happy, forever. And then, having assigned it that impossible task, we quietly stripped out everything that used to hold it up. Because ancient marriage came with infrastructure. It came with in-laws who owed you. It came with a sister 2 valleys over, and a mother-in-law in your camp, and a whole network of people with a direct, selfish, structural interest in your marriage not falling apart. Yours comes with 2 people and a lease. We now ask a single human being to be simultaneously your lover, your best friend, your therapist, your co-parent, your business partner, your primary social life, and the person who makes your existence feel meaningful. That is not a spouse. That is a village. We have taken a village-sized job and handed it to one exhausted person who also has to get up for work in the morning. And then we act astonished when it buckles. We didn't make marriage more romantic. We made it lonelier. So, 2 in the morning, same fight, and one of you says, "You're not the person I married." Here's what I want you to hear. You are not failing because you don't love each other enough. You too are trying to do alone a job that was never once, not anywhere, not in 300,000 years, done by 2 people alone. They didn't have better marriages than us. They had more people inside them. So tell me, who holds up your relationship, and how many are there? Tell me in the comments.